Hi, we are doing sea turtles again. I will label your sea turtle part 2. This is actually just a reading. It's about a 3-minute video that I will include that you can watch if you wish. You are just going to jot down some notes on this. There's no questions, but in your instructions I will write down what you need to do. Okay? Anyway, here we go. All right. Leo and Brady, let us be quiet. Let us shush. All right. Sea turtles. Shh. Is your name Leo and Brady? I'm talking to you. All right. Turtles that lives in the ocean, it's going to shock you, are called sea turtles. I know. What? Different types of sea turtles can be found throughout the world and in every ocean except for the Arctic Ocean, which is way too cold because they're already a cold-blooded animal. And if you remember yesterday, we talked in the film, it talked about how they can regulate their body temperature to the waters that they're in. Well, if they're cold-blooded and they're in freezing water, that doesn't work out too well. Okay, so that's too cold for them. They prefer warmer seas. They stay in the shallow coastal areas like lagoons and bays. But as we talked yesterday, also they will travel. The ones out in California, Mexico area, will go all the way over to Japan and back. The ones off the Atlantic coast here will go all the way to Europe and back. So it's not like they just hang around the coast. They actually will go out into the deep waters. Okay. All right, they are reptiles. This means that they are cold-blooded. They have scaly skin. They breathe air. They lay eggs. There are 7 types of species of sea turtles. Okay, and they include the loggerhead, the leatherback, olive wriggly, hawksbills, flatback, green, and the Kemp's wriggly. They throw the black sea turtle in sometime as a separate one, but that's very rarely does that happen. Most of the time they're just like, no, there's 7. There's not 8, there's 7. Yesterday we talked about the film which was made in the 80s. If you remember, I pointed it out. 5 of the 7 was on the endangered species list. No. 7 out of 7 are now on the endangered species list. They're not extinct, but they are on the endangered species list. Okay. Whoa. It must be art class. Whoa. Okay. Or science. It could be science too. All right. How big do they get? Sea turtles come in different sizes. Okay. The largest is the leatherback. This guy can grow 6 feet long and up to 1,000 pounds. That's a big turtle. Okay. The smallest is the olive wriggly and the Kemp's wriggly, which they grow to be about 2 feet long and 100 pounds. That's still a pretty good sized turtle. You know anything about turtles? That's still pretty good size.
Do you think a turtle? Do you think of a turtle? I think like one of those pond turtles.
Yeah, you think about one of the painted turtles, something like that. You know, even a big old snapper.
I would probably think it was like
even a big old snapper turtle will, he'll get about that big, maybe go 25 pounds or so. But yeah, he's not 100 pounds. Do what?
Once in my grandparents' pond, they had like an alligator snapping turtle, and this thing was huge. It was like dead down in the bottom, and it would attack their ducks.
Oh yeah.
And the ducks would not get into the water.
Yeah.
Once this turtle grabbed one of my grandma's ducks, so my grandma runs into the water with a brick and hits this thing on the head. And then, like at a 4th of July party, this guy drags it up with a cane pole, and then they
you
were
realize
gonna
I'm filming, right?
Yeah, they were gonna put this thing into a
Did you hear this
trash
story?
can, like one of those metal old metal trash cans.
Do you care?
And it was too big. So
Too
my
big.
dad had to take a handgun and just go pow. The thing was eating ducks. Which would
Okay.
you want?
I love
an
eating
evil
ducks.
right.
For a duck.
Do they have a shell? Guys, hey, keep your turtle stories to yourself until I'm through.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're ruining his YouTube.
All right. Like other turtles, sea turtles have a hard shell that acts as armor and protects them from predators. The top side of the shell that we see is called the, you may know what that is?
Carapace.
Carapace, yeah. Different species have different shaped shells. Some are oval, some are more heart-shaped. Sea turtles don't retract into their shells like a lantern, like the turtle they're talking about that Spears and Leo was talking about. They can actually bring their heads in, their tails in, their legs in, and close that shell off for protection. These guys can't. Okay, they cannot retract anything into the shell. The shell is there, it protects them, but they're very vulnerable. Their flippers and their head and all that is still vulnerable to predators. Okay?
What they'll do is they'll actually turn their backs to the predator in hopes that.
Well, they don't have a whole lot of natural predators because nothing wants to try to eat a.
piece of paper.
Yep. Nothing wants to try to eat a turtle shell. Depending on the species and the age of the turtle, sea turtles eat all kinds of food, including seagrass, seaweeds, crab, jellyfish, and shrimp. Okay. Of course, we talked yesterday about how people on boats and things, fishing boats, sometimes will throw plastic bags, grocery bags over, and if they're floating in the water out there, these guys will mistake them for jellyfish and will come up and eat the plastic bag, which of course they cannot digest, and it ends up, it will kill them. Okay. So don't throw plastic into the ocean, please. Grown sea turtles have very few predators, okay, because you get that big, you got that hard shell, nothing like something quite that crunchy to try to eat. Baby sea turtles, however, are highly vulnerable when they are born. Mother sea turtles lays lots of eggs on the beach in a hole that they dig. Then the mother leaves and goes back into the ocean. The eggs are left defenseless and becomes prime food for many predators. Once the eggs hatch, the hatchlings head for the water, and there they are very vulnerable to predators also. The predators that they're talking about in the nest, fox, raccoons, all kinds of things like that will sniff these eggs out and dig them up and eat the eggs before they ever have an opportunity to hatch. Okay.
Do you know that the reptile that can lay their dragon, that huge lizard?
Oh, yeah.
They actually lay their eggs they actually lay their eggs in the earth, so predators will walk up, so then they're like.
All right. Now, many sea turtles can hold their breath for over 30 minutes. This is when they're swimming. Okay, when they're asleep, it's even more than that. Leatherback sea turtles have been known to dive for over 1,000 feet. Sea turtles don't need a supply of fresh water. They can live off the water that they get from the food they eat. Okay? I'm talking about jellyfish. A lot of water there. Okay? Sea turtles sometimes look like they're crying. This is where you see God in the detail. They are, even though they live in the ocean, they also come on land. But they swim with their eyes open. And you got to figure that salt would mess up their eyes. They have special glands that actually cleans their eyes. You're back again, God's in the details.
It's just like your
Okay, right there. Okay? The fastest turtles are the leatherback, which has been known to swim at speeds over 20 miles an hour. The next thing we're going to read talks about how some turtles have been clocked up to 25 miles an hour. Again, depending on who's doing the study, who's writing the article. Okay? So. All right, this one goes into a little bit more detail on how they lay their eggs and things of that nature, or build their nests. Again, reptiles, cold-blooded, air-breathing, scaly-skinned, vertebrates. 7 species exist. All are endangered. Once again, it tells you the type. The loggerhead is the one that is found primarily on the coast of the Carolinas. Okay. The female will, however, make brief returns to the beach, and it is the beach that she was hatched on, which is kind of strange that they travel the world, yet they can come right back to the beach that they were born on in order to lay their eggs.
It must be like
Okay.
something about I've heard something about how it's like magnetic. Something.
It is, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a magnetic, almost like the poles.
Yeah.
That they can figure it out. You're exactly right, Spears. Okay? At night, she crawls out of the ocean up on the beach just above the high tide line. Okay? The nesting loggerhead most often locates their nest at the seaward base of the primary dune. She scrapes out a depression in the sand with her flipper, and it is a crescent shape where she would take that big old thing and she kind of digs out like this. If you remember in the film yesterday, you know, she digs it. It can be about 4 feet long, but it's only about a foot deep. Okay? And she will lay anywhere from 80 to 150 white, leathery, ping pong ball sized eggs. Okay? In the 4 foot by 1 foot deep crescent shaped trench. Then she will camouflage it back up by she covers it back up. Gets it all padded back down to try to make it look like that nothing was ever, a hole or anything was ever dug there.
Do you think other sea turtles would eat big eggs? Would they
What?
do you think like other sea turtles would come on land?
Yeah, all females do.
No, and that's what, no, let's say one a
No,
sea
they don't.
turtle laid their eggs over here, and then
Yeah,
one,
they're
a year
more than
later
one come up.
comes up and messes with all.
No, they don't come up and mess with each other's nests.
But what?
Okay?
Wouldn't it be kind of sad if one, like, they were born on the same beach and then that one accidentally, like, out of thick?
But they're not going to come up and dig in the same exact place. You know how big a beach is? Come up and dig in the Lord.
It would be kind of
All right.
funny.
Loggerheads' eggs will incubate in 45 to 80 days. That means they hatch in 45 to 80 days. The loggerheads will actually crawl upward from the nest, but actually will remain underneath the sand for 1 to 3 days before they finally make a run for it. My guess is they're taking bets on who's going to survive. That sounds it's kind of cold, but you know.
Cookies.
Okay. All right. Now, when they're first hatched, they're just a few inches long. They emerge at night as a group. They scurry down the beach into the ocean, and of course, they are susceptible to ghost crabs, raccoons, seagulls, foxes, anything that is out there. Okay. Less than 1% of the hatchlings will survive to adulthood.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Female loggerheads usually nest every other year, but in that year that she is nesting, she will have 1 to 7 clutches. A clutch is what they call their nest. So she may lay eggs 1 time and lay 80 eggs, or she might lay eggs 7 times in that year and lay 100 eggs each time. So the more they nest, the better the odds of some of them surviving to adulthood. Okay. Loggerheads grows to more than 3 feet in length, weigh a couple hundred pounds, up to 500 pounds. Although large, they can paddle through the water at speeds about 25 miles an hour, but on land, they're about 1 step faster than a snail. Because they don't have legs, they have flippers.
Yeah, so they're not supposed to.
So the next time you go to the beach, go down, come up out of the water, and run up the beach and have someone time you. Then go back down and lay down on your belly and try to pull yourself up like this.
We're gonna
Yeah, you're not going to be moving real fast. Okay?
really don't.
I'll do that.
Wait, I'm trying to think.
My grandma takes
You're
us to the
getting
beach
a
all the time.
nasty.
My grandma lives at the beach.
grandmother lives near the beach. She has a farm, so she can't live there.
All right. An active sea turtle will surface to breathe about every 5 to 15 minutes. That means if they're swimming, trying to get somewhere, they're booking, they have to come up for air pretty quick. Kind of like you guys, if you go out and run, you start breathing harder because you're working harder. Okay? But when they are asleep, the body's metabolism slows way down, so they use less oxygen. And in a sleep state, a sea turtle can remain underwater for about 3 hours. Okay, before he has to come up for air. Now, he's not down, 700 or 800 feet and run out of air and have to come up. I mean, they're usually, when they're sleeping, they're not floating on top, but they're not, they're not deep sea diving either. Okay? They do not sleep on land. They are sea turtles. The only time they come on land is to lay their eggs. The males don't come back on land. Okay? Okay. All right, that's not bad. 16 and a half minutes of, stuff. Again, you're just going to jot, there's no questions. Jot down notes, what you feel comfortable with. Notes should be something that maybe you didn't know. A note is to help you study, obviously, you know that. So jot down things, there's not a right or a wrong amount. If you got 4 pages of reading and you got 8 pages of note, you probably overdid it. If you got 4 pages reading, you got 3 sentences, you probably underdid it. So you kind of figure that out, okay? And that's what we're trying to do in class. I'm trying to help them to understand a little bit more how to take notes, okay? All right, and I will talk to you later. Bye.